Hi, I'm Greg Uland with Reynolds, and this is Connected. Right now I get to talk with Alan Hagerty, who's a product manager at Hunter Engineering. I'm really excited because I swear every year at NADA, the Hunter booth is the one that I have to go to because they have the coolest stuff. This year they have a van down there with a tire changer in the back of it, so I got to go mess with that probably tomorrow. But Alan, thanks so much for joining.
Yep, thanks for having me, Greg.
Absolutely. So how has traffic been down there at the Hunter booth? What's been, I guess, the most popular items at the show for you?
I think it's been a great show so far.
Yep.
We're really excited for all the dealer support. We've got lots of great new technology innovations on show, and it's a pleasure to be here. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of what you do, and I'm sure I'm going to miss about 70% of what you guys do, if not more, but the two big focuses that I'm aware of and we kind of dial in on are tire tread depth readers, right, the drive over ones, and then alignment checks, all those machines that go into that. So two big products there. And how long, I guess, has Hunter been in that space? I mean, it's been forever, but it's obviously evolved over time. So how long has it been, and what's the latest kind of latest and greatest? Is it all about size, or?
So Hunter, we've been in business for over 75 years.
Yep.
Just celebrated an anniversary a few years ago, and we focus on serving everything around the wheel.
Yep.
So whether it's tires, alignment, brakes, we want to provide the best workshop equipment to quickly service that and do it right. And we've been fortunate to serve dealers for many years and look forward to continuing to do that. So our inspection lane, particularly like you mentioned, we can quickly check the alignment and tires of a vehicle as soon as it arrives and inform the customer, and then help deliver opportunities for the service department to serve and communicate the need and the health of that vehicle and get it back on the road quickly.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things in alignment where it's not. Hardly anyone probably comes into a dealership and says, "I need an alignment today," right? It's just not a common thing for somebody to even know what that is. So having a proactive tool to help sell is obviously very important.
Yep, tires aren't cheap, and they keep getting more expensive. So if you can detect the need before it's too late, right? When the tires are worn, you miss the opportunity, right? So let's check the alignment, communicate to the customer, and get that vehicle going down the road smooth, straight, and those tires last longer. It's better for the environment.
There you go. One of the things I wanted to talk with you about today, though, while I have you, is as we move forward and we look towards the future and drivetrains and things like that, pretty much every manufacturer at this point has put out a plan to move to an EV drivetrain. Whether they've stated a date when they're going to be all electric or they're just rolling out vehicles one by one, pretty much everybody has something in place today. And as we look at that, there's, I don't know, a little bit of, maybe fear is a strong word, but at least uncertainty around what does that do to the service drive, right? So there's 80% fewer moving parts in an EV than there are in an ICE combustion engine, right? Or an ICE vehicle. So what does that mean? Does that take away opportunities? Are there fewer opportunities? And when there are opportunities, are they less profitable? Are they smaller? So thinking about that, though, with that as a backdrop, and then I look at things like tires and I look at things like alignments. Best I can tell, cars are going to have rubber tires on them for quite a while,
yep,
and they're going to need to be straight for quite a while. So what are your thoughts on that and kind of the future of the service drive and maybe the importance of services like alignments and tires and things of that nature?
That's a great question. If we look back 50 years ago, dealers weren't in the tire business.
That's true.
I'm sure you had a few exceptions here and there. But if you needed tires, you didn't go to the dealer, you'd go to the tire shop down the road. And that mindset is changing and evolving, as you mentioned the industry trends, and there's some dealers that have really gotten ahead of the curve there and invested in technology to be able, like we talked about, quickly check the alignment of tire vehicles as soon as it shows up at the workshop, and then they've equipped themselves in the back shop with the right technology, but also the right processes and partners to be able to quickly and effectively service those vehicles and get those tires swapped out and changed. So it's definitely an area. Think about EVs; they're heavier, they have a lot more torque,
yeah,
and so far the studies are showing that they're going to wear tires faster. So it's going to be where many things are shrinking. You think fluids, right, or other mechanical moving parts. Those will shrink as far as share of dollars per repair order, but tires is going to grow. And currently tires, if you look at the whole market, it's the biggest dollar service of a vehicle over its lifetime. Especially, you may replace the tires 4 or 5 times while you own it.
Right.
So the dealers that want to continue to thrive, they're going to need to lean into that category and keep that business in-house. And there's other benefits from that too. You think if I keep the customer coming back to me for service, then I can have them for the life cycle.
Right.
And if they're servicing with you, they're more likely to buy the next vehicle from you. So it's that whole life cycle, customer for life mentality that I think they're gonna. The ones that are successful will get it and they'll go after it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and best I can tell too, I don't think that wheel sizes are going to go down anytime soon. So the size of the tires and the size of the wheels, to your point about the price, right? It's just going to continue to increase. We're not going to see 14-inch wheels anytime soon.
No, with the fuel economy, whether it's trying to get more miles per charge or gas, the designs are going bigger and bigger. And people have that aesthetic. They the look of it too, right?
Yeah.
It's shinier, it's flashier. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to see 19s as standard on some vehicles nowadays, even up to 20.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see, but I definitely see it too, where these types of services are going to become more and more important because they're going to be there, right? And it's not, you're not going to have some of the same maintenance that maybe you have in the past, but this needs to turn into some of that maintenance. It really does, especially when you think about alignments and preserving those tires and everything else. So it's definitely, I think, an important part of what will be the future for fixed ops.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit too, when you think about somebody coming into the service drive, right? And alignment's one of those things where you kind of need to do it, right? It's not, hey, this is getting a little bit off, so maybe next time you should do it. It's you probably need to do this or your tires are going to wear funny. But tires are another one where it's like, you know what, next time you're in, we probably are going to need to change these tires. Let me get you a quote, that sort of thing. But I wanted to get your thoughts and maybe what you've heard from dealers or something like that where, a customer comes in, they drive over your tread wear detection machines.
Yep.
And they either say no because they're not ready, right? They don't have whatever the dollar amount is, which is not small in their pocket to do it today. Or, the service advisor saying, hey, look, you're getting close. You don't need them right now, but let me get you a quote. In either instance, that service advisor needs to follow up with the customer to get them back in at some point, right? You don't want to just leave it in their hands.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on following up on declined services or services that were recommended and not actually completed at the dealership?
I think that's really important. You also have to keep in mind, like we talked about with the trends, that EVs, on average, it looks like they'll have less service visits. So they're going to have more miles between each time they're coming to see you. So you could have a customer, especially knowing the tires are going to wear faster, when they come to visit, their tires are maybe marginal, right? They're not quite worn, but they will be needed for soon. You probably won't see them again by the time those tires need to be replaced. So if you have the right process and technology integration in place where every time that customer does come in, you're checking the tires, you're documenting that, and then you're saving it and sending follow-up communications to invite them back, that'll be a key to success. Because you'll retain the customer for life. You'll keep them as part of your life cycle.
Yeah, and that's a really good point I hadn't really thought about is the amount of at-bats you're getting are just fewer, right? And they're further between. So you're right in that it used to be, right, hey, another 6 months you're going to need tires. You were almost guaranteed to see that customer within 6 months.
That's an oil change interval, right?
Right.
That's not the same anymore.
Exactly. Yep. No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I like that. I'm curious because I've heard a few different dealers describe their process especially for alignments, because explaining that to a consumer, especially if their tires aren't wearing bad yet, why they need to do that service work can be a little bit of a struggle. So what have you seen work presenting the alignment to the customer most effectively, or maybe some different ways to do it?
Yeah, from what we've learned over the years, the best way to communicate that is you check the alignment, you measure the alignment angles, you compare it to the manufacturer specifications, and you show the customer in a simple report with green or red, hey, your vehicle looks great, everything's good, peace of mind, or hey, when you came in today, we did a complimentary check, looks like your alignment's out, we can go ahead and take care of that for you today if you'd like. So being able to show a simple visual color-coded report, it's the best way to communicate that and describe what's going on with their vehicle.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody earlier today actually, and they were telling me they ended up installing a touchscreen monitor hooked up to a PC where, it's a big 42-inch monitor right beside the alignment machine hanging on the wall. And basically they installed that so they can take the customer over to it and show it to them in a very impactful way.
Exactly. Yep. And we integrate with the GoMoto kiosk. Yep. So as the customer arrives and they check themselves in, that information is automatically presented. And it's a very simple, hey, here's your alignment, it's color-coded, and they can add that right to the service request, and off they go. So we make it convenient, we automate it, and it drives value for everybody.
Yeah. No, I do love that integration because then it gives you really almost two passes at it, right? If the customer's at the kiosk checking in, they see it, it's presented to them, maybe they don't understand it, they say no. The advisor gets a second pass when they call that customer back to recommend the work, and they can explain also why it's so important.
Yep. Yeah, you always have that follow-up, the human touch if you need to.
Right. Yeah, but you can only once you're told no face to face, it's hard to follow up and be like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
So having that second pass in a different medium is kind of nice.
Absolutely.
Good. So with everything else you're doing, what's anything else new down there? I saw the van with the tire changing machine in it. It seems like the machines continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller and more versatile. So anything else in that world that's kind of new, different size or whatever that you're looking at?
Yeah. So customers have different preferences on how they want to service. Traditionally, they bring their car in, right? That's changing and evolving. There's some customers that want you to come to them. And if you can have that omni-channel strategy where you meet the customer where they want to meet you, that's another way to set yourself apart and differentiate. So we've worked with dealers and customers to build out basically mobile tire solutions. So you can have a mobile tire van, but you can also use it for other things too. So maybe you're doing tire work on Tuesday. You can actually, this is a modular system. You can pull the tire changer out and you can put in a fluid exchange system. So if you want to do an AC recharge for that day, I know it's hot in the summer in Dallas, not so much today in the winter, but you can have different services that you offer. The next day, maybe you go out and you do a open recall campaign where you're going to reprogram some cars. So you have that we'll come to you solution and you can drive additional value and profit and you're not actually clogging up your service base. So it's a way to get more value out of the same rooftop.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. What else? What else haven't we talked about that we should or that you want to talk about while we have a minute here?
So we certainly have the integration with Reynolds right into the dealer management system where when the customer pulls in, the data is populated right there for the advisor, so they can easily see that. I think that's been really impactful. We had a great testimonial from Parkway Auto Group where they've been able to utilize that integration as well as the GoMoto kiosk in our inspection lane. And one advisor, her name's Brianna, she was selling 10 alignments and she with the integration and the consistency, she was able to sell up 24 a month, which is great. So we're able to, like we talked about, easily identify, communicate, and follow, close the loop on the needs on the service drive because otherwise it just sort of goes by and evaporates.
Right. You're right. And I love you mentioned that integration, the MPI integration too, where if it's red, it's marked red on the MPI and all the information flows in. The tire tread depth as an example, it'll go right in there so the advisor, the technician doesn't have to rekey anything. They don't have to do the measurement. It's I get excited about it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, when you're working in the shop every day, having that automation, that flow, it saves you a little bit extra. You think about it, it just saves you a minute each time, but that adds up, right?
Yeah.
And we all know there's a labor shortage out there. It's hard to find good people to retain people. So if you can have a solution and an environment that lets them get the job done easily as possible, it's a win-win for everybody. So the customers that have the integration, if we took it away, I think they'd be screaming and fighting.
Yeah.
So that's when you got something good.
Right. Well, and do you think, I'm curious, and maybe this goes nowhere, but do you think either your hardware, some of those integration pieces, and some of that ease of use type of stuff that you're talking about, have you seen or maybe heard from dealers that has any sort of impact on retention of their employees? You mentioned tech shortage and trying to hire people. I wonder if providing these tools, if you've had, whether it's a real study or just anecdotal, had any effect on retention.
So there have been industry organizations that have done studies, and they do surveys with technicians and with advisors and shop managers, and one of the key sort of takeaways from that is that shop equipment makes a big impact on their quality of work. Yeah. If you have equipment that allows you to get the job done right, quickly and efficiently, and you don't have comebacks, that makes your life a lot better. But if you don't, right, and you have outdated or equipment that's broken, is not working, and you can't do the job, you're not going to sell alignments, or if you do it, you're worried about, hey, I'm not going to do it right, and then I got to deal with a comeback, so maybe I'm just not even going to talk about that. So having the right technology up to date, it makes a big impact in the quality of life for the dealership employees.
That's great. All right. Well, Alan, I appreciate you coming down. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to chat, and it's been a great partnership with the Reynolds and GoMoto team, and we're excited to continue that forward and see where the future takes us. So, thanks for the chance to chat, and
of course, definitely appreciate it. All right, Alan Hagerty, product manager from Hunter. We'll talk soon.